Hello.
Hi, is this Jose?
It is.
All right, well, let me do the official introduction, ladies and gentlemen. We're very excited to welcome our next guest for this evening. He is a writer and director, and he's joining us to talk about his new book, Sharcano, the one and only José Prendes. You're on the air live with Terry and Tiffany. Welcome.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
I think I must be living right, because we had the writer of the Shark Tornado movie, Sharknado, on, and now we have you on, and gee, I can't get over all the excitement. I'm just being sharked to death. Before we go into your book, I want to ask you, because, you know, along with Sharknado, of course, the Mecha-Shark franchise has been very, very popular, and you have kind of dipped your feet into the water, if you will, because there's a new one coming out with you at the helm, right?
Yeah, well, I wrote it. You know, Asylum came to me right after Sharknado made its big splash, and they said, hey, you know, we want to make a part 3, and this time there's going to be a robot shark, and that's, you know, it's been on the drawing board for a long time, that movie. So they felt it was time to do it, and yeah, I did my best to write a movie that I would want to watch, but
right.
At the same time appease all the producers and things like that. Because, you know, it's hard to make a movie like that, you know, with limited resources that you're given.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you do your best to try and make a movie that works. And, you know, it's real world sets in and you never get the perfect version that you want. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book, is because I wrote the script first and I still wanted to tell the big, perfect version. So for what it is, Mecha is the best version I can tell with limited resources.
Now, what came first, writing the screenplay for Mega versus Mecha, or writing Sharcano?
Writing the script. You know, I've been a huge shark fan my whole life. Jaws left such an impression on me. When I saw it when I was a kid, I'm still scared of the ocean.
Right.
And I think that's a good thing. That's why I'm alive to this day. Because I don't mess with the sea, and the sea doesn't mess with me.
So I take it, coming where you come from, in Caracas, Venezuela, that you never really had an encounter with a shark, right?
No, I was born in Venezuela, but I didn't spend a lot of time there. Most of my time was in Miami, but that's basically beach central.
Right.
So no, you know, we went out to the beach, you know, in the weekends here and there, but I was never like a, hey, let's live at the beach and have fun there, because I knew what was waiting for me, you know, beyond the waves. So I was never a big beach goer. But yeah, so I've always loved sharks, and Sharknado happened, and I remember talking to the director of Sharknado. I'm like, dude, don't do this movie.
You know, it's interesting to me that, okay, here you are, a filmmaker, and we want to talk about some of your other films, because I realize many of our favorite films that we watched lately, and I'll tell you what those are in a bit, were done by you. What went on in your head when you come up with this book? Because here it says a fiction story you wrote and everything. Usually somebody in your position would make it into a movie right away, wouldn't they? Not a book?
Well, yeah, so what happened was, you know, Asylum came to me, and they said, well, we want to do Mecha, and so I started writing the script, and then just the problems of budget and, you know, shooting schedule and, you know, VFX budget and all that kind of stuff was kind of weighing me down, and I'm like, man, I really just want a blank canvas. I don't want any notes. I don't want anything to worry about. I don't want to worry about shooting schedule or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And I just want to write the biggest, craziest shark, you know, genre B-movie story I can. And so I called it Sharcano. I decided to mock bust the Asylum. And yeah, that's where the book came from, because I wanted that blank canvas. And in a novel, you can do anything. In a script, you have to be aware of, like, well, can we shoot this? And can we afford to make this? Is anyone going to read this and go, this is too crazy to make into a movie? But in a book, it's easy, because it's all based on people's imagination. So if they envision the best possible scenario in their heads and they see, they see it as written on the page, then it's going to be epic, and then no one's going to complain about the effects because unless there's something mentally defective with you,
I was going to say though, really, this shark could bite you in the ass because I'm going to tell you why. Okay, you're writing this as a book because you don't want to worry about all the effects, and I'll just write the book and let them worry about it. This thing could come back, and it could be optioned as a movie, and they could ask you to direct, and then all of a sudden you're worried about it again.
Oh, well, actually, that would be a great thing to happen. So, I mean, we're currently being read by a couple of big production companies, and we're talking like huge, like studio companies. I can't say what they are because no one signed on or anything, but let's just say 10 times bigger than Asylum level.
Wow.
So, I mean, ideally, that would be the way to go for Sharcano. It would be too big for a Sci-Fi Channel movie. That was the goal,
Do you think people are going to get mixed up between Sharkano and Sharknado?
Oh yeah, that's already happened. I mean, people are asking me, "Hey, when's the Sharcano movie coming out?" Like, no, it's a book. Remember when people used to read? Remember that was a couple years ago.
So, tell us about the plot of the book. A lot of people who have read the book are telling us that it's kind of, in their words, Jaws meets The Stand.
Yeah, that's almost exactly what I was going for. I wanted to, tell a kind of a Sci-Fi Channel type of plot, but deliver it in a kind of world-spanning, end of the world, type of product, kind of like I forget his name now. Anyway, so. But yeah, the plot is basically simple. It's 3 volcanoes are erupting all over the world, and they're causing massive destruction. And these are super volcanoes, so like there's ash in the sky, and there's lava all over the place, and it's it's basically disaster time worldwide. But things get worse when these sharks made of magma, molten magma, start erupting and start making things worse. Eating people, giant megalodon lava sharks are knocking down buildings and, eating fighter jets and all this stuff. And it basically sets the stage for what I've called the Sharkpocalypse Trilogy.
You sound like you've got a good sense of humor, and I certainly don't mean to make light of this because God knows, okay, our whole basis of a station is cult movies and drive-in films and B movies. I love them, and the sillier the better. But I gave Thunder Levin a whole bunch of trouble because I was thinking this was silly. But I think you probably out-sillied him, and I say that with great respect because it sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, that's the point, man. I mean, you can't. I'm a big fan of these movies. I grew up with stuff like Roger Corman and Full Moon and things like that.
Yeah.
So, you write these kind of movies and you can't go in it thinking, okay, I'm doing 12 Years a Slave, but with sharks. You have to have fun with it. You have to have a sense of humor because at the end of the day, it's about sharks, dude. I mean, it's about sharks destroying things and eating people. It's inherently going to be silly. I mean, I think Jaws was the one and only shark thing that wasn't like super silly. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, sharks are sort of something to be made fun of.
Right.
So and that's kind of a shame. So but I did try to tell the line of I'm telling a real story with real characters, and they have real problems and. And I think a lot of people that have read it that have talked to me afterwards, like, wow, I really like the characters. I'm surprised that I actually cared, and I was sad when people died and stuff like that. And that's good. You want that. You want people to love, the characters and root for the characters. But then also, want their jaws to drop when crazy shit happens.
Definitely.
But that fun is the key to anything. And I think, and I don't know if Thunder said this, but I'll tell you the truth behind Sharknado. They were planning a super serious movie.
Yes.
It wasn't until like they were in post that they're like, shit, what are we gonna do? And then they sort of did some stuff to play along with it. But honestly, the heads were sort of thinking that this was like a serious hardcore, a serious thriller. So,
and you think about the fact too, they were going to do a serious movie, and their hero is somebody left over from 90210, and they're getting Tara Reid, who's cute, but she's got a little bit of a controversial past, and I wouldn't take them too seriously to begin with, you know.
I agree.
Wow.
I agree.
So wait, as long as you're going to say that, if Sharkano gets made into a movie, who would you want cast as your stars?
You know, I haven't really thought about it, but I mean. You know, I was honestly thinking Denzel Washington and Charlize Theron would be badass.
Yeah, would.
You know, they fit the mold of my two leads.
I think Charlize Theron could kick anybody's ass, regardless.
She wouldn't mind as kind of a movie. She started out doing a movie with a big old ape.
Right.
Okay, so she...
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it would be perfect for her. Wow. And you know, the thing is, too, is we had a live in-studio show the other weekend, and we had an actress from Jaws 2, and she was telling me how like it was a goddamn nightmare because the fucking shark never worked, it was all mechanical, and now they're doing all the CG things, so guys like you writers, you can just go wild.
Yeah, but then of course there's the we can't afford to do that, so just make him swim around.
So you mentioned who you might want to play your characters. Tell us about your characters. You're telling me that people really kind of fell in love with them and felt something for them. And really that's the secret of writing, too. I don't write stories. I do interviews with people for magazines, but I know for a fact, from talking to many writers, that you got to have people really feel for your characters.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key to anything. I mean, if you look at a horror movie that works, it's because you give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, you like who you're rooting for. The reason Scream works is we like the characters because they're fun to be with. You know, you don't tune into Saw because it's a blast to watch.
Right.
You know, it's because it's gory or whatever. But I think characters is really very, very important to anything. So, and it distinguishes, you know, the works that are supposed to be meaningful from the ones that aren't. And unfortunately, on stuff like, you know, the Sci-Fi Channel movies, characters sort of gets, you know, shortchanged just because there's so many other things that they want to do.
Yeah.
So my characters in Sharcano, Mick Cathcart's kind of a Anderson Cooper type, but he's really cocky and he's basically all about you know, getting laid in the beginning of the book. But then he you know, he's divorced. He's got a young daughter, and he teams up with Agnes Brock, who's a marine biologist, and she's investigating the appearance of the megalodon, which just washed up on a shore in I believe it's Peru. Gosh, I forget. But anyway, it washed up on the shore of this beach, and they're investigating where it came from and why it has all these bite marks and things like that. And then volcanoes start erupting, and then, you know, we've got characters spread out through all over the world, Shanghai, you know, Italy, and they all come together in one way, shape, or form. And we even got two good old country boys that are hunting for Bigfoot at the beginning of the book. And so and Bigfoot does make an appearance. I'm a big Bigfoot fan. Are you too?
Yeah, well, Bigfoot's real. I mean, seriously, because I totally believe in Bigfoot. I mean,
when they came out with that whole scam where the guys had the fake Bigfoot in the freezer, Terry, the other host, was so in belief that when they found out it was a fake, it was like somebody telling him Santa Claus wasn't real.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Bigfoot. I'm a big believer. However, I just finished reading The Making of Bigfoot by Greg Long. Have you guys heard of this book?
No.
It's about how they hoaxed the Roger Patterson video.
Oh, okay, wow.
And it's like 400 pages, but it's fascinating. Just, you know, the reporter, the writer basically interviewed everybody, and basically, you know, interviewed the guy who says, "Oh yeah, I was in the suit. Roger was going to pay me $1,000 to be in the suit."
Yeah. Wow.
And so it's like, man, you know, the one footage that everyone says is definitive proof. Now I'm more on the fence than I used to be.
Aww. know.
Yeah, well, I believe in Bigfoot because I used to be married to her, but anyway, that's another story. Let me ask you a question now. Now, since these sharks are made of molten lava, I would take it they're not in the ocean because that would put the molten lava out, right? I mean, it would make it so it's not hot and they'd fall apart, right?
Well, some of them do swim in the water, and the water steams up, but they're mostly on land because at this point, basically the entire world is covered in like a river of magma or lava. So it's basically as if the cities have been flooded with lava, and they can just swim wherever they want.
You know, having us so close together, I think if I was you and was involved with Mecha-Shark versus Mecha-Shark, I think I would have people in the movie reading a copy of Sharcano, because that would be great promotion for you.
That would have been great, but I was writing it at the same time that they were shooting it, so I wouldn't have been able to get the book in the movie.
Now, in knowing that being a screenwriter and writing a novel is two very different things, and people don't understand that, but it is, which do you find more difficult, and which do you enjoy more, writing for film and TV or writing a novel? It's different. Writing a novel takes longer because, and I can write fairly fast, so, I wrote Sharcano in 2 months, and I think the first draft of Mecha was 5 days. So I can turn out a movie faster than I can a novel, but I think with a novel you can explore a lot more, and you definitely get to have more fun as a writer. In the script there's format, there's certain things like, I really wish I could say that this guy really likes frozen yogurt, just for the actor to read it and kind of have something in his head, but it probably doesn't fit in a script. It's unnecessary. But in the book, you can put it in there. He likes frozen yogurt. He's a big Tutti Frutti fan, and he has it every Tuesday, and it's just kind of a neat little thing, for the reader. So right. I like them both for different reasons. I think with a script, I can visualize it and I can see it like, okay, this is playing out in my head, and we can do this. This is possible. This is real. But with a novel, it's more of a, it's like going from like a TV screen to a big screen in a novel.
Right.
And like you can see, okay, now I've got a bigger canvas. Now I can afford to blow up those buildings over there,
That's right.
and that kind of stuff. And you basically play in a bigger sandbox. So I think I don't know. I like them both. I can't choose. I mean, they both have their merits. But since I'm a director, also, I just love the fact that I love writing scripts because I can hopefully turn them into movies.
Well,
so.
you and Thunder, who got a lot of work from it, owe a lot of debt to like the Discovery Channel because this whole Shark Week thing just made it. But now you guys might have to move to Ducks because Duck Dynasty is like the big show now. So,
I've never watched an episode, but I keep seeing stuff appear in stores, and I'm boggled by it. So I might have to check it out. It's one of those things that just kind of has taken over, and I have to find out why people love it so much.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your shark stuff and reading your novel, but I want to tell you that our publicist friend is your publicist. I think he's a great guy. He's got a beautiful family. He's one of our favorite people, and he asked to have you on. And we didn't even realize at the time that you directed a couple of our favorite films, okay? And one that starred somebody that I think she's still beautiful and a great lady, Lynn Lowry. That's A Haunting of Whaley House.
Oh, yeah.
Good movie, man. That was a damn good movie.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was Asylum came to me. They wanted to make a haunted house movie, and the nice thing is they sort of left me alone.
Wow.
I think I did 2 drafts of it, and then they were like, a lot of the producers were sort of out of the country. I think at a film market. So, and we were shooting in Long Beach, so we weren't even near the main studios. So we were basically left alone I was left alone to make the movie I wanted to make, and that is the dream come true. They get here's some money, go make a movie, and that's what we got to do. And I got to hire my friends and give everybody that that had time cameos in it and things like that. And I'm very happy with what we did with that. We shot it in 12 days. We didn't have a lot of money, but there was a lot of heart and love that went into that. So I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Well, I'll tell you my other favorite film of yours. And she's America's favorite mom. She was the mom in E.T. She was in Lassie for God's Sakes. Nobody lets Dee Wallace Stone be crazy, but you did in Hansel and Gretel. And I've had Dee on many times and had her daughter on recently. Her and her daughter had the most fun talking about how crazy mom was in that movie. That movie was classic.
Oh, good, yeah. It's funny because I wrote that. The director of that is the guy who went on to do Sharknado, like right after. So, when we were first writing it, I wanted a crazy, kind of a psycho witch lady, and everyone's like, "No, let's not make her crazy. Let's not." I was like, "No, she's got to curse and she's got to be, she's got to be mental, man." And they're like, "No, she can't. Let's try and make her kind of like a sweet, kindly old grandmother or whatever." And then Dee comes on set like the first day, and she goes, "Can I just say fuck?"
Yes.
And then I turn to the director and go, "Yeah, man, I told you."
I mean, she wants to do stuff people don't let her do because she really believes that. She believes in the spirit afterlife, and she has a spirit guide that she talks to. And I let her come on, and rather than making her talk about fucking E.T. for the 500 millionth time, I let her talk to her spirit guide. She was in heaven.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, not crazy, but like cool.
Yeah.
It was a little crazy when she started arguing with the spirit guide. But
oh, yeah. Wait, so how does that work? Does she do the voice, or does she just like go quiet for a minute and then she says, "Oh, he says this"?
She just goes quiet for a minute and then tells us what he said, except for when she started arguing with him, and she was like, "No, I told you, I can't. I don't have that. That's in my other purse. I don't have that with me right now." And we were like,
"Wow."
I must send you a download to that show. You've got to hear that because
dude, I'd love to.
And then another project you did. I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to mention this one as well because in knowing the type of listener that we have that is so involved and so ingrained in the B movie and the horror genre, I have to mention the project you did, which is Corpses Are Forever, and it had an amazing cast. It had Richard Lynch, it had Brink Stevens, Debbie Rochon, Linnea Quigley, Don Calfa, Conrad Brooks, Felissa Rose. Was there anybody from the B-movie world that you didn't put in that film?
Yeah, well, I tried to get Bruce Campbell, but he was unavailable. That was my second film. Wrote and directed a loving homage to James Bond with zombies. And, I learned a lot. I got to shoot that on 35 millimeter, and, so I've got that experience that will probably never happen again nowadays. That was such a blast, and I think it's out of print now, but you might be able to find copies around on, like, eBay and stuff like that.
I've got to ask you, because it's weird to me the way Hollywood works, and I've asked this of other people before, and they were like, no, I didn't know about the other one. I get this idea of like, commercial espionage or something, studios spying on each other. When you did the Hansel and Gretel thing, now, I don't know how long you wrote it before it came out and stuff, but like everybody was putting out a Hansel and Gretel movie at the time. Was that just a coincidence or what?
I have no idea. I didn't know that there were going to be other Hansel and Gretels in the works. I don't know how the Asylum picks what movies they mock bust. It's just the projects come the way of the writers and say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that.
Yeah.
Like a buddy of mine just directed a mock bust of what's the Tom Cruise one? Age of Tomorrow, something like that. Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not sure.
Yeah, the time travel one. Yeah, we just mock busted the Tom Cruise one. I don't know how they pick. And I know Thunder did After Earth, the AE
right.
One mock bust. I don't know how they pick them, and I don't know. But I'm guessing other studios are catching on because I'm seeing that a lot. There's another studio, I forget the name of it. I want to say Phase 4, but maybe not. And they're mock busting a lot. They just released one called Prometheus Trap. And if you look at the cover, you're like, damn, these guys literally lifted the exact cover and replaced it with their actors.
I like your term. You say mock busted? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Because, You know, the Asylum calls them mockbusters instead of blockbusters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I take it you know Thunder. Do you guys like get together and swap ideas? Are you guys going to write something together?
I don't know. I mean, we're both very independent. I mean, we're buddies, and we chat on Facebook all the time. And I asked him, "Hey, how's the script for Sharknado 2 coming?" He's like, but yeah. I think we're fairly independent with our own projects, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. And I told him, I gave him a hard time because I told him that with a name like that, either he had to be a great writer or a male stripper. Because Thunder Levin, okay, that's a name.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's really, I mean, as far as I know, that's really his name.
He said it
like before I met him, I was like, is this guy some kind of like Marine badass type of guy?
Oh, all right. Well, as we kind of wrap this up, we like to do shameless self-promotion portions of the interview. So tell everybody who's listening, if you have a website, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Also, where they can check out Mecha-Shark versus Mecha-Shark, and also where they can buy a copy of Sharcano.
Okay, wow, that's a lot. All right, I am on Facebook, just my name, José Prendes, and I'm also on Twitter, just my name, José Prendes. And Sharcano is available right now exclusively through Amazon.com. There's an ebook and there's a good old fashioned paper copy, which is nice, and it's a big trade paperback. It's not a little paperback. It's a massive, almost hardcover looking thing. And so Amazon.com, just type in Sharcano without a K, and you'll get a copy of it. And speaking of Hansel and Gretel, this hasn't been officially announced, but whatever, I can talk about it. The Asylum just gave me a green light to write a sequel.
All right, no, good.
Yeah, so right now it's titled Hansel versus Gretel, and it takes place right after the end of the first one, which, to be honest, I wasn't a fan of. I don't know if you remember making Gretel bad.
Right.
I just didn't buy it, and it wasn't my idea. It was the director's idea. But now with the sequel, we can really pay it off, and it gets darker, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with that one. So that'll be shooting in June.
I must say, because when all the Hansel and Gretel things came out, there was this one that was like the #1 movie in the theaters, and there was some other ones, and there's a lot of cheapies and stuff. And yours, to me, I think, was the best lower budget one I saw.
Oh, great! Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so what else? Mecha-Shark versus Mecha-Shark is out everywhere. You can actually go buy it at Best Buy, which is nice. I am prepping my 4th movie that I'm writing and directing called The Divine Tragedies, and it's it's basically a David Cronenberg movie meets a David Lynch movie by way of John Carpenter.
And if you run out of shark ideas, you and Thunder, I've got this idea to where this giant Jaws-like shark runs into a giant Charlie the Tuna from Starkist. So.
That's part 4, I think.
All right. Well, Jose, it's been fun chatting with you, and you as well. Also let Danny know to keep in touch with us, and the next time you have a project that's ready to come out, we'd be happy to have you come back on to promote it.
Yeah, we need you to come in studio sometime. You sound like a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, where are you guys located in Los Angeles?
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes north of LA.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, well, that would be a blast.
And you can come out. You can bring Thunder with you, and we'll just swap shark stories. We'll just
there we go. That sounds good.
I'll make some sushi.
We'll have tuna. It'll be awesome.
Fantastic! I look forward to it. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Have a wonderful night, Jose.
All right, you too.
All right.